If you're a lineman in charge of keeping the lights on, Granger understands that you go to great lengths and sometimes heights to ensure the power is always flowing, which is why you can count on Granger for professional-grade products and next-day delivery, so you have everything you need to get the job done. Call 1-800-GRANGER, click Granger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
My name's Adelle Onyango, and welcome to another episode of Legally Clueless. No, seriously, I have no clue what I'm doing, but I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. Hey you, welcome to episode 323 of Legally Clueless. Thank you for being part of the family. This is what's coming up.
I remember when I was 11, there was a girl, she was a new joiner. So she joined our class and she was kind to me. She was the first person to be kind to me. Her mom would pack for her snacks and she would bring them and we would eat together. But I think the mom knew this girl is not such a good eater. So I think they talked and then the mom was like, invite her. She used to live right outside school. So I go and there's a woman in this girl's house and she calls her mom. I'm like, what does that word mean? So I asked her, what is a mom? She's like, that is a mom. I'm like, oh, I don't have one of those. And then I ask her, what does a mom do? And she says, a mom cooks for you, she cleans for you, she does all this. And I do those things for myself. I don't have a mom. And it hit me. It was sad. I regressed back.
That is Nyambura's story. Do stay tuned because it's quite illuminating. Yeah, I think that's the word I would use for it. So it's coming up a little later in this episode. If you're new to the family, welcome, welcome, welcome. Audio episodes like this go out every single Monday. We have the midweek teas out on Wednesday and Ask a Therapist out on Friday. And then on Thursdays on our YouTube channel, our brand new show for mannerless women is going on. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. There is a link in the show notes. If you're an OG member, you know by now. But in case you don't, I have tons of love for you. So I moved out of Nairobi about 3 years ago. Yeah, we're about 2 months away from turning 3 years living in Limuru. And for those who don't know, Limuru is a farm town that is maybe about an hour out of Nairobi, which is the capital of Kenya. And I always used to dream of living in Limuru. Anytime I was stressed while living in Nairobi, I would get into my car and drive through Limuru. So it's a farm town where there's lots of growing of flowers, but mainly lots of tea. And so it's beautiful. It's green, it's slower, it's my type of pace. Now, when I moved here, I only knew one person and I was so far from every single member of my community. And this was the first time I was going to be living alone. So it was pretty scary. I think I was excited at first and everything was so awesome and I was renovating this old house and then I moved in and I think maybe my first week in, my person would come often and so I didn't feel too alone, but with time, I was just like, oh my God, what have I done? I've moved out of a city where all of my community, be it friends or family, live, to a city that is much smaller, much slower, and where I really don't know anyone. And then one day by chance, I met someone who became the first friend I made in Limuru, and we are good friends to date. She is a person who has made me seek a lot more older women to be friends with. She's in her 60s, and I just found talking to her to be so refreshing. She would comfort me whenever I was missing my mom. She let me rant about everything to her. She gave me brilliant relationship and love advice. We celebrated all of my milestones with her, and she taught me everything I know about farming because, get this, in her 60s, she had been living in the States for very many years, but then she came back home to Kenya. She's in her mid 60s, and she decides she's going to try farming, and she uses YouTube to learn. And now she is one of the best banana and avocado farmers I know. Yeah.
Even the friends who you think are looking at you or comparing them with you, or you comparing, they are too busy with their own lives. So, and there is nothing like now I got there, now I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
So every day you wake up, you have to kind of do your best. And that best can be very stressful because it's like people always look on the outside. I mean, I used to look on the outside before I can look on the inside. So they don't really appreciate what they themselves are bringing onto the table. They are very quick to kind of look out there and see, like, maybe I'm supposed to be here.
Compare. Yeah.
At 40, I'm supposed to probably have this. My friends have got that, you know. So that's a lot of pressure on people. But if I were to go back, I'll tell them, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Because it's not even that important anymore.
Yeah.
Because what you have or don't have only matters to you.
Yeah.
You know, but at that age, people don't see that. They see everybody's looking at me. Now they can see I have not achieved. Like the other day when you were telling me that people say that you have not gotten here and you are getting to this age. Yeah, that's a lot of pressure on young people. But then you get to an age whereby, why does it matter?
It all of a sudden just stops mattering.
Yeah.
After all the stress you've poured into it.
Exactly. Because even people who are my age and don't have children, people who are my age who don't have any resources, people, you know, at this stage, nobody really cares. You know, we are so bored. Or what matters is like, if I wake up in the morning, what am I going to do with my life? So I'm not saying that you should stop thinking about it, but it's not going to be that important. 20 years from now, you'll be like, And the other thing is most of it is material things. And like, for example, when I was in my 80s, I had a Fiat 127. Do you know what kind of a car that is?
No.
Have you ever even heard of it?
So, was it red? That's all I can ask.
It was blue. So now, at this age, nobody even knows what that is. Okay, but that time I was stressing out because I needed a car and so today I would tell that person it's not that important. You know, nobody really cares, only you. And eventually you're gonna realize that material things don't make you who you are. I think people should more and more about humanity. You know, who you are. And your legacy. How are people going to see me down the road? Or what have you learned that you can pass on? I can sit down with somebody and tell them, I learned how to do this. Rather than thinking, I used to have, or I used to own, or I don't think people are too caught up in all of that.
Because we don't know, like, I don't even know that car.
No, no, and you never.
So I'm very excited that she came on our new show for Mannerless Women, and I'm so happy to share this personal episode with you. It's been a while since I had a friend on any of our shows here, and there is a lot of inspiration and wisdom that Mary, that's her name, shares in that episode. So make sure you catch it. A link to that is in the show notes. Let's jump into 100 African stories. In this episode, we listened to part 1 of Nyambura's story about her mom leaving when she was 2 years old and trying to come back into her life when she was in her 20s. 100 African stories on Legally Clueless. Stories from Africa.
Hi, my name is Nyambura Kadumbe Rehema. I am a systemic marriage and family therapist. What that means is I help clients understand the different systems that they grew up in, because as human beings, we are systemic beings. What that means is, like, for you have a brain that has different regions, but then when you bring the brain together, that's a neurological working system that connects to your central nervous system. that connects to all your other systems in your body, your gastrointestinal system, your pulmonary system, lymphatic system. So as human beings, we are systemic beings and we grow up through systems. So for example, your family of origin, mother, father, or lack of thereof, sisters, brothers, that's a system. Schooling is another system. Religion is another system. Marriage is another system. So human beings, we are systemic beings who come from systemic environments. And that's how we become who we are as individuals. So as a systemic marriage and family therapy, that's the work that I do every other day. And to be honest, I really love it and I enjoy it. So I grew up in a family of 5. I'm the third born. So let me just give you a brief background. So I grew up, my dad brought us up, and I am the third born. So 2 elder sisters and 2 younger brothers. My mom left when I was 2 years old, and that's part of the reason why I became a therapist. I never understood why she left. I have made peace with why she left. Needless to say, it was a very difficult upbringing because I grew up in the 80s. Fun times, great music, good food, just easy things, a lot of discovery. Having been brought up by my dad alone in the 80s, already you understand how that is such a significant trauma back then. Growing up in that kind of a family setup, I always felt like I'm missing something, but I didn't know what I was missing. It's a good thing that the Lord provides innocence to children because that innocence kind of brought a cloud on my knowing there's something missing, thinking I was the problem, but still about going ahead in terms of time. So that's how my family background looks like. Even now, that's how my family background looks like. So one of the reasons why I became a therapist is because of how I grew up. It was really, 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 really turbulent. My dad is an amazing person. He tried his best, but providing for 5 children by yourself as a man in the 80s it had its own stigma. So we were very isolated from all our other family members. I schooled at Nairobi Primary School. And just to give you context, I do not come from a rich family. I actually come from a lower middle class family. I grew up in Githurai, 45. So every single day.
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Stop by Sherwin-Williams and get 30% off select paints and stains May 2nd through the 12th. It's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Refresh your home inside and out with colors that make every space feel brand new. From cozy interiors to stunning exteriors, we've got the perfect shade for your next project. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
We would wake up at 5 and we'd be in school by like 6 o'clock just to be in school at Nairobi Primary School. I think my dad was quite visionary then because in literally that whole Githurai area we were the only children who were going to such a high primary school because in the 80s, 90s, Nairobi Primary School was one of those like the best schools ever. And my dad really wanted us to have a quality education. And I attribute his visionary to who I am today as a therapist. I have I have 2 degrees, 2 undergraduate degrees and a master's, and I'm starting my PhD in September. But then back to how I grew up. So waking up every day going to school was bad. School was nasty for me, man. Think about it this way. I'm coming from Githurai, barely not having enough, not having anyone to take care of me because 5 kids, that's too much for a parent. My dad did his best. And then you go to school and everyone is being dropped, or maybe like 80-90% of the people are being dropped and they have drivers. And possibly the only one who's coming with matatu. And then we also used to use the train because it was free for children. And so remember I told you I grew up thinking something is wrong. So that's even firmed up more in primary school when you're seeing everybody being picked and dropped. You're like, why can't I be picked and dropped in that innocence? So school was really, really tough. Just the whole classification. Children can be mean. I think I was bullied pretty much all my primary school. And although that is sad, I am quite appreciative that that happened because that gave me a very, very thick skin. What I did is, which is a trauma response, I created a world where nothing would affect me. So guys would say mean things, oh, you come from Githurai, all that stuff. And just look at them and have no physiological responses to them. But it was really tough if I think about it. So how bullying was looking like for me, I hope it's not happening anymore, is remember, I've come from home. I am maybe below the ages of 12. So I'm the one washing myself. I'm cleaning my own uniforms. And as a child, you don't even know if your uniforms are clean or not. So I'd go to school dirty most of the time. So no one wants to associate with me. I'm just that laughing stock of, ha ha, she's always dirty. We never used to have break. So at break time, people have carried sausages and mandazis. You're just there staring and you're like, whoa, how comes we don't have these kind of things? So it was very isolating. So the bullying was more of, yeah, you come from a poor background. We are rich. It was really, really tough. So I learned how to literally exist, showing that that doesn't bother me. And it actually stopped bothering me. By the time I got to class 4, which is like around 8 or 9, there's nothing anyone would say that would bother me. I'd look at you and just would never bother me. I was highly detached. That was the only way. In systemic therapy, we introduce trauma in twos. So we say trauma is an event that causes an emotional experience. So the event here was abandonment by my primary caregiver. That was my mom. But the emotional experience was that constant reminder, like, you're so unlovable that your mom left. And that's literally everywhere in primary school when I come home. So that's too much for an 8-year-old child. That 8-year-old child will learn how to detach from feeling. And that's what I did. In fact, it became my superpower. The bullies got so bored because they're not getting an emotional experience from me. They moved on to somebody else, and that was peace. So for me, I knew it's called fawning. If I fawned enough through detachment, you're just gonna do whatever you need to do. By the end of it all, I won't show you any kind of recognition. You will not be able to access the most inner parts of me. And then eventually you get tired and you leave me alone. So for me, that was a win as a child. So I learned how to do that really, really well. Unconsciously, I made a decision not to experience any of the emotional experiences, either in Githurai or in school. So it became like a lull, it became like a numb. So when people, mwana anaongea kizungu, when you're in Githurai, I'm just like, this is the same people I meet every day in school. So whatever they'll say, they'll get tired and I'll go to being who I am. So for me, it was one world where I'm bullied in school for coming from a poor background. And then I'm celebrated at home, but through ridicule. So it was a world for me, just one world. So, and because it's too much to experience, detachment was safe. So I detached both in school and at home. By God's grace, I had my period when I was in high school, not when I was in primary school. I remember class 7, 8, and everyone had a crush. And because you're schooling with families that are quite opulent, they go for holidays and then they come back and people are talking about their holidays. And me, I'm so detached. I'm listening to it. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. When I grow up, I'll be able to afford that. So that's what I constantly would tell myself. Yeah, I'll do that for myself when I grow up. I was never part of anything, in all honesty. So that when there are crashes or no crashes, I'm just so oblivious. I'm like, oh, so that person likes, I'm just like, but isn't that wrong? That's not the right thing to do in primary school. And then everyone's like, yeah, you're so shady. I'm like, yeah, truly I am. And I learned how to own that. I'm just like, yeah, there's no shame in, you say I'm shady, yeah, that's fine. Remember, I've learned how to detach. So whatever they say, I'm like, yeah, you're right. There's no reaction. There's no emotional reaction you're gonna get from me at all. So it was a quite isolating space. I feel sad thinking about it, but I'm also grateful that somehow that was God's hand protecting me from other adverse experiences. To be honest, it could have been worse. I think of situations where my dad might have been like, well, your mother has left. I also don't care about you guys. That would have been another life altogether. So although it's a sad experience that I never wish anybody to go through, and again, that's the reason why I became a therapist, like no child should ever go through what I've gone through. There's some things that I see as Thanksgiving. So in that time of class 7, 8, it's again detachment. And then I do my KCP exams and I was below average, which for me was amazing. So I went to high school. I will not say the high school name because for me that's a trauma. It's another trauma. So I go to high school and I'm glad that this is now my space because home was never. Remember, we are 5. All of us are feeling the lack. My dad is trying his best that he could. I could literally see him trying, and I'm very appreciative of him. And so I just wanted to be less of a burden to my dad. So when I went to high school, I'm thinking, okay, now he's only got to take care of my 2 younger brothers. Me, I'm going to be in high school. I learned in high school and it's the same damn thing as in primary school. But the good thing is that at this particular point, I have my armor on. So I know these kind of girls are bullies. These ones are religious. And these ones just don't even know where they are. And I decided not to associate with anyone. So for the 4 years in my high school, I was just by myself. And that was a choice. But something interesting happened when I was in Form 3. I think some popular girls started talking to me. I'm like, why are these girls talking to me? And for me, my face is what it is. I never hide. So they would talk to me and I'll just be like, okay, why are you talking to me? I mean, we can't fake friends. And that's the thing I cannot do till to date. I cannot fake who I am. What you see is what you get. I can't fake. So they're talking to me, and then I realize somewhere within the grapevine, I realize that there's a boy who likes me in a neighboring school, Mangu High School to be precise. And so these girls want to be my friend because this boy wants, and I'm just like, this is so immature. And I think I called them out. I'm like, you're talking to me because of a boy? And of course, it was altercation back and forth. And I was very comfortable being by myself. And it went to being by myself. And the guy would write letters. And I'm just looking at them. I'm saying, this is like the most immature thing ever. And I never responded. I think I responded to one guy in Form 4 and I responded to him because the letter was intelligently written. And that's when I started realizing like, oh my gosh, I think I'm a beautiful person. I never used to know before then. So I never used to understand, why would you write to me like there's so many other people and you writing to me means you just are ridiculing me again, like everybody else. So I remember writing back to this guy because he had used such beautiful poetic language and I'm a poet. I like to write. That's why I wrote back, but it was unsustainable. But that in Form 4 is the first time I had a glance of myself, if that kind of makes sense. That's when I'm like, oh, so I'm actually beautiful. So people would like to talk to me because I'm beautiful. But even that I rejected. I'm just like, yeah, it's not gonna last. So by detachment, I had created a world where I was so comfortable not being seen, not interacting with anyone or anybody, but getting by functionally. When you detach, you become small in your own existence. And that's why detachment is really, really dangerous. So that the world that you occupy in your detachment is a very small world of your actual existence. It's a quiet world. Everything is good. I had my music there. I had my poetry there. I had my books there. But I'm existing in a very small space. So physically, you're there, but you're also not there. Have you been to a house where there's no mother? There's actually no life. It's dad is there, he's trying his best, but men don't have the maternal instinct. We are 5 of us. All of us are feeling that lack of something, lack of a mother, but none of us is talking about it. And I think also for my dad, it was very traumatic for him and it was very isolating. I mentioned that. People don't want to associate with him. So you're living in a house where yeah, we have food, we had a TV, just very normal, below the average, but not struggling, normal, but there's something huge missing. And so you don't know what's missing, but you take it upon yourself that whatever is missing is because of you. And so even interactions within.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Amongst us was very limited. Everyone was by themselves because we are lost. There is no mother in that house. We are lost. And for me, I was very empathetic to him. It's like, have you been left with all these kids? Even when I was that young. And so you want to, I literally became the good child. I became that child who does everything for everyone. And it's got to be emotional, but it's fine. I became that child who does everything for everyone in the house. And I forgot myself. So that even in the physical thing, I don't exist. Wash people's clothes, cook. I began cooking, I think, when I was 10 or 11. And even though I didn't enjoy it, it was tiring, I would do it so that I didn't want to see my dad suffer more than he was suffering. Because we would go to church as a family and no one wants to talk to us. And sometimes I think that's mean of Christians. I remember when I was 11, I was in class 5. There was a girl, she was a new joiner, still in Nairobi Primary School. So she joined our class in class 5. And she was kind to me. She was the first person to be kind to me. And then her mom would pack for her snacks and she would bring them and we would eat together. But I think the mom knew this girl is not such a good eater. So I think they talked and then the mom was like, invite her. She used to live right outside school. So I go and there's a woman in this girl's house and she calls her mom. I'm like, what does that word mean? I'm 11. And so she says, Mom. I'm like, so I asked her, what is a mom? She's like, that is a mom. I'm like, oh, I don't have one of those. And then I ask her, what does a mom do? And she says, a mom cooks for you. She cleans for you. She does all this. And I do those things for myself. I don't have a mom. And it hit me. It was sad. And then I regressed back. I'm like, no, I can't handle this. I think it's rough for a child to realize at 11 they don't have a mom. I think that's rough. And that's one of my biggest wounds, even to date, even as a therapist. Not every day, but most of the days, I'm like, I know, God, you're a loving God, but man, this one, he robbed me big time. As you can see, it's painful for me too, even now. That's how I learned I don't have a mother. I just know when I was left at 2, one of my dad's sister is the one who took care of us when we were infants. We had actually gone to visit her some time back. But they lived far. They lived in Molo. There was no way they were going to come to Nairobi and they had their own family. So I know one of my dad's sister and her husband really, really stepped up. The thing that I knew was that I was going to have my child early because I needed to understand what is this thing? What can make a woman have a child and live? So I knew I was going to have my child early and I knew I was going to have one child. When I finished Form 4 in high school, I told myself the day I get my ID, I'm out of home. And the day I got my ID, I was out of home. I went to live by myself. Now to really live by myself. You see, now I'm using this isolation. Then I was using the detachment and the isolation as a survival mechanism, right? I'm like, now I'm going to live by myself. I'm not going to survive for anyone. I'm just going to go get a house and just live by myself. I don't want any interaction. And that's what I actually did. I got my ID when I was 18. The next day I told my dad, this is the last day I'm sleeping here. I really appreciate everything that you've done for me. I think you've been the best parent, and I will die saying my dad sacrificed a lot for us. You don't hear fathers do that in the 80s. He would have married and it just would have been another crazy story altogether. No, he sacrificed his life to bring up his 5 children. My dad will literally go hungry. He will give you his last shilling. I started my career as these promoters, the ones in supermarkets. So where I got a house, it was still in Githurai, but not as deep in Githurai as we used to live. It was just around the bus station in Githurai on the other side. So I got a house there for, first I started living with my sister, and then she got married, so I had to move out. So I went and got my own small single house. These plots where stima zilikuwa zinazimwa 8 zinawashwa, that's where I used to live. And when I'm there, and that's why for me, I have seen God's hand through and through and through. When I'm there, one of my sister's friends mentions that, oh, my sister is doing a promotion at a skincare company. They're looking for promoters. Do you want to go? I'm like, where is the company here? How do I go? Take a matatu, get there, ask, go. Okay, be there by 6. I was there by 6. I'm 18. I have an ID. I was there, and by God's hand, I was called in, and I got a promotion. And I was sent to Village Market. Now, for me, this is heaven. Like that hustle, I'm just like, I'm doing my thing. I don't have people shouting about how poor I am. Neither do I have people shouting about, oh, you're twanging, da 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 da. So it's for me, it's freedom, it's heaven. And I was selling these small Nivea deals. And then by God's grace, I sold to the GM of the company. And he would ask a question and I would respond. Ask a question and I would respond. And for me, I'm just so into it because it's like where I've come from. I don't mind answering 50 or 100 questions. And that's how I got my first break in my career. So he's asking me, okay, if I have something, if my wife wants something for her face, what can I do? You have those products? Like, yeah, we have this. Here's the range. This is for oily skin. This is for normal skin. This is for aged skin. But do you have lotions? I'm like, yeah, here, this is lotion for dry skin. This is for normal skin. Okay, yeah, but do you have like other specialty products? Like, we have a whole range. So I would tell him, this is what you did. Again, God's hand. I didn't know who I was selling to. Village then was mainly expatriate. I don't know if it still is. So this is I think he was German or South African. I've been talking to white people. I'm 18. I can't even tell what the difference in nationality is. I'm just like, this is a customer. Maybe he'll buy, maybe he won't buy. And I had a target of around 20 to 30 pieces of that small product that I would sell every day. So that's, he asked, I think I was there for like 30 or 40 minutes, just answering his questions and being very objective, God's hand still. And that's how I got my first break. So he goes to the office and I get a call from the office and they say, oh, what happened on Saturday? I'm like, I was working. I don't know if I did anything wrong. And that's, again, a trauma response because I'm constantly, when I relate, I'm just like, now what have I done again? Have I talked too much English? So even when I'm getting the call from the office, I am so guarded. I'm like, I didn't do anything wrong. I was there on time. I went for lunch from 2 to 2:30. And they're like, no, chill. You sold to this and this. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. No wonder he bought so many products. They're like, we want to come see you. We want you to come see us. And I'm like, what is this about? So I went to see them. Oh yeah, I hadn't mentioned that. So I sold to him and then that was done. When the promo was done, I had looked for another job at a clothing shop still at Village Market. And I got that. I got the job there, paying around 12K. That was a lot. So when I got this job at Village Market, I moved to Banana. So now there's some sense of stability. So that time I'm 19 or 20. Somewhere in the rave, I met somebody and I thought, okay, this guy is good looking. And to be honest, I also thought, if I had a child with this person, I think my child would be cute. And I think unconsciously I made a decision to have a child with that person, but I didn't tell them. We meet up, we start dating, things happen, adult things happen. I get pregnant. I'm sorted. And to be honest, I don't think I was ready for a relationship then. So of course the relationship didn't work out because I also didn't put much effort. Plus I was already pregnant. So So when I'm working here, I'm 20. Yeah, I'm 20. I gave birth when I was 20. So I was still 20. So I'm working at 20. I'm paying my house in Banana. I was paying 2.5. I'm earning 12K. So hata wakitoa kidogo, it's like 10K. So I have so much. And then from Village Market to Banana with a matatu, then it was 10 bob. Or I think it was 20 bob. So I had so much money. I tell you, I shopped for my son. By the time my son was getting born, I had diapers for 2 years running. 2 years. I had diapers. I had bought clothes from like 2 months, 3 months, 6. My house here, it was a bed sitter, but you would just enter and just see this girl is so ready for this child. And I was. Again, God's hand. I am at work. I'm arranging the clothes and all these things. And this lady comes into the shop. Complete stranger comes into the shop. And she looks at me, and I was very small. I was 60 kgs. She looks at me. She's like, oh my gosh, you look so beautiful to be a mother and all that stuff. And she's like, oh, how is it a boy or is a girl? She's like, it's a boy. I was so excited. How far along are you? I'm like, I was due in November. So I can't remember if it was June or July. A whole stranger, believe it or not, went and did for me shopping for a newborn baby.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
For around 3 months. She just came and told me, I bless your child with this. I couldn't believe it. And so for me, it's being stamped like, yeah, you're going to be a great mom. What you never had, you're going to be to this child. So that by the time my son was coming, everything was in place. How my delivery was on me transitioning from a maiden to a mother. How that was. The relationship was rocky. But to be honest, I was the problem. Because I'm just like, see, unconsciously, I didn't know these things. It's through therapy that I realized them. Unconsciously, I'm thinking, I want to be a mother. I didn't think this, my son, and I've asked him to forgive me so many times, which he has. I didn't think he needed a father, to be honest. I'm thinking I get to be a mother to this child, so I get to be what I never had. And remember the thing that I've told myself, no child is going to grow up the way I did. So I'm thinking, yeah, I'm doing the right thing because this child is going to have his mom. The dad came to hospital. He tried to patch things up. I was very stubborn. I was young. I had my own money. It's not a lot. But I had my own money. I was independent. My dad brought me up to be independent. And to be honest, I just didn't see his value in my life, which was very selfish. Which was a value in his life. So my labor was 9 hours. I spoke Spanish, Italian, German. I spoke all the languages there were. And I'm hearing women saying, oh, this is my 4th child. I'm like, what? You did this 4 times? I'm only doing it once and that's it. You can imagine an African speaking German, Italian, and anyway, so he came and he was a healthy baby and it was a normal birth and I was discharged and my joy began then. That was when my life began, like, I'm just like, yeah, and I'm a mom, like this is so purposeful. And he was such an easy child. Really, he was so easy. Never cried at night, would feed because he's a boy. And now the place that I was doing the promo called me. So I told them, okay, I'm actually now available. I just had my son. So they called me. I started working there, I think in March of 2006. And I worked there for 4 years as a marketing executive. And that's how I grew up in my career. God's hand as well. So now I had some good money, not like good money, but now I had, good money. That time I was 22, so I was pretty young. And then from there, and all my jobs, all my marketing jobs have been through prayer and fasting. All. The Lord hears me. All. And then now the worst thing is I started to see a pattern. I started to see a pattern in that, because it's a skincare brand, right? So I'm reporting to women and they are nasty. This is a pattern I'm familiar with. I'm familiar with women being mean to me. So any woman in authority, I'm like, women in authority are mean, just disassociate. I started disassociating at work again. I started detaching. So you'd give me work, I'd do it, but I would never have these conversations. Like, like the way girl talks, it's like, oh, you look so nice. Never. Would come in, head down, again existing but not existing. Do my work and leave. Now, unfortunately, when you're in corporate, you have to sometimes stroke your boss's ego. It is what it is. I've never, ever, even to date, I can't do that. So I started to notice a pattern. And then when I really cannot remember how old I was, but I was in my 20s. My bigger sister calls me. She's like, oh, your mom wants to see you. I'm like, okay, fine. So she came. So my mom came. She came to my house. And I was living in a 2-bedroom house then. So she came and my son was around 1 year. And my son would be stolen. Like, literally, I would tell my house managers, please don't allow strangers to take you. He was just a happy boy. He was a happy child. He'd see strangers and start laughing at them, and it's like, keep him in the house. When my sister said, your mom is coming, I was like, okay, I think I took the day off. I can't remember the details. And she came. Sadly, the moment she entered the door, my son screamed. She couldn't even stay there. And that was so, so sad. I think she only stayed for maybe like 10 or 15 minutes because my son could not keep quiet. We had to take him to the bedroom. And even when we took him to the bedroom, he was still screaming. I'd never seen something like that. And it was really, really sad. And I saw her. I had appeared in a magazine then because of work. There's something I was doing. And she had the magazine and she's like, I saw you and I'm so proud of you. I just saw her and I'm just thinking, I have so many questions for you. And she had a huge wound on her leg. Huge, that wasn't healing. So I looked at the wound. I just looked at her up and down. And it was like I'm looking at a mirror because she was very, very beautiful and very striking. And I'm looking at her and I'm just like, I just told her the moment I got my child, I think I forgive you. And she's just saying, oh, nimekuja kuomba msamaha. I told her I forgive you and I wish you all the best. I gave her a gift and she left.
Catch more African stories in the next episode of Legally Clueless. That's part 1 of Nyambura's story. Part 2 will be out next Monday. So make sure wherever you're listening to this podcast on, you subscribe so you do not miss it. But so thankful. I think I'm thankful each and every storyteller who comes onto this show and just opens up and allows themselves to be vulnerable with you and I, because we learn so much, right? I mean, do you see how the things we experience in childhood and the coping mechanisms we lean into in childhood really affect our adulthood and even make us make real life permanent decisions like, am I going to have a baby or not? When am I going to have a baby? Who am I going to have a baby with? Will I want that person in my baby's life? You know what I'm saying? All of this stemming from things you experience in childhood. I remember every traumatic experience with an adult from my childhood, and I'm really thankful to therapy because that's where all my emotions from those traumatic experiences were validated. And I just love how Nyambura broke down all the emotions, all her survival trauma responses in a way that, man, I understand so much now. But that's me. What did you connect with? Drop a comment in the comment section on whatever platform you are streaming this podcast on. Next week, part 2 will be out. But until then, thank you so much for being part of this family. I appreciate you. And I believe you have everything it takes to heal. That's it for this episode of Legally Clueless. You can share this podcast with your friends. You can keep it for yourself. I'm not judging. Just make sure you're here next week for the next episode.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.